catch him.
Oh.
Oh, so anyway, so I used to do, I just press record. I used to do these intros and kind of a voiceover, and I've been rethinking how I do all of that. Now I just kind of jump in with a sound bite from the conversation that's kind of cool, and then launch into to the full interview. But for the purpose of like jumping into this, if you're at a dinner party, you like we are sometimes, you find yourself in spaces and people say like, "What do you do?" Which is a super limiting conversation sometimes. Like, what do you mean? I'm not just what I do, but like, Berlin Kerney IV, like in San Diego. What are you about? What are you doing today?
Head coach and owner of Bomb Squad Boxing Academy.
Mm-hmm.
What we do, I produce fighters, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a coach. I've
Mm-hmm.
been I've been in a position of leadership since I was young.
Yes.
Um, only reason I was a good leader because I was a good follower. I didn't have to. I didn't have to. I got two different ways to go, left and right. I
Yeah.
can see what the person that went left, what they end up with, right, what they end up with, and I can see everything in between. What's the worst case scenario? What's the best case scenario? I would take that path. Had influences growing up. I had my uncle, my aunts, and I always gravitate towards my uncle. He's a certain type of way. So, I just found myself in a position of leadership. It just so happened I got into boxing when I was younger. After joining the military, I started boxing late 2001, and then just it progressed from there, man. I got to the point where I could go pro. Broke my hand, tore my meniscus. Kind of felt like it was God telling me like slow down because I had this little young kid. He was dope. I was training, so I didn't have to get out of boxing. I was in boxing. It was just fit natural.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, we kept doing our thing, kept making names, making buzz. Um, End up connected with the young kid's dad. His name is Julius Ballo, and that's just my boy from day one. I started training Julius when he was like 6 years old. He's 17 now. And then throughout this process, 2016, he was like, "Hey man," because we was bouncing around. "Hey, let's get a gym. Let's get a gym." I'm like, man, I ain't really trying to deal with it. I like training fighters. I
Yeah.
like to move. I don't like to be like tied down to too much
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
And I felt like business, you got to depend on people,
Yeah.
and people real fickle. You know what I'm saying? And if stuff hit the fan, the first thing to go is the gym membership.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, "Nah, trust me, man. Trust me, I got it. It's like we can hop in. I got us. Don't worry."
Mm-hmm.
So started doing that, and now we booming, we running, man. Really trying to like, I don't just like if I just teach boxing, I'm not doing my job. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of stuff that come with this job, being a coach, man. And that's just what it is. I'm a coach and co-owner of Bomber Squad Boxing Academy.
Yeah.
Just finding my way, man. Finding my niche. Just
Whew. So how did you come to this? It's funny. My dad was the heavyweight or maybe light heavyweight ex-U.S. boxing champ in 1969 overseas. He was in the Air Force, right? So I got these like photos, and I grew up in the Boys and Girls Club, like
yeah.
doing little exhibitions and stuff. So you were my kin, man. Okay, like I feel you. And but I'm curious about how you came. You said a couple things in there. One about your uncle was a certain kind of way, and there was some modeling in there that guided you. And then you went into the military and found your way into boxing. So, what was it about your uncle that
Yeah,
how
my
you?
uncle. It's funny because when I grew up, when I later on, I come to find out he ended up passing away. First of all, he was the chief of police,
Mm.
East St. Louis. There's a school named after him.
Ooh,
Um, he's one of the most impactful people in that city in
ooh,
East St. Louis. People still talk about it to him to this day.
ooh.
And at first I didn't know what it was, but growing up now I know is
Mm.
that he was just basically a man of God. He didn't go left, he didn't go right. He stood his ground on certain things. And the way he got killed was actually by dirty police. And it's funny because he's the chief of police. Stuff was happening. He was just like, I clean that up. It is what it is.
Mm.
And they probably felt like he was gonna, do more than just let them clean stuff up. And so they took him out. But that's just how it is. That's how it worked over there. Um, and just for being around him, he
Yeah,
put me on game without really putting me on game.
yeah,
Like he really taught me how to like to be just,
mm.
just and fair, and really and
Mm.
be that middle part between somebody in a hard place,
Mm.
uh, how to help people without letting them in your pocket to where if they do get one up on you, you left in the dust, you know. And he didn't have to. He never vocalized any of that. I just watched how he moved for some reason. I just even growing up, like I went certain directions. I got to a certain point. Always in the back of my head was like, "Yo, what will Uncle James think about this?" And that was always my line. You know, like I never went over the edge a lot just because of that. Um, but yeah, that's what it was. If I can condense all that, I would just say he was like a real man of God. Like not saying it, just he
Yeah.
was about it. He had a light. If I can just sum it up, you
Yeah.
know.
Yes, I understand. So then, what took you into the military?
Oh, my brother, he was prior service.
Okay.
Also rest in peace.
Okay.
He's prior service. You know, I mean, I went to boot camp 2 weeks after graduating. I graduated 2 weeks later. I was already in boot camp,
Which
so I
branch?
knew what it was. He put me on game too. Like, hey, listen, this is what it is. Like, you can travel, you can do this. He
Yeah.
just knew how the type of person I was. I was the type of person where I wasn't really like, I knew how to make choices.
Yeah.
So he was just like, yo, if you trying to really do what you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
like we ain't got money like that. Mom ain't got money like that. You ain't got money like that. Like the fast way, hop in the military, learn your bearings,
Yeah.
go left, go right.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
you know, I went in there. Yeah, 2 weeks after I graduated.
Which branch?
It was Navy.
Navy. So that's how you got to San Diego then.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's just funny because I actually grew up out here. I left East St. Louis when I was like 5 years old. Yeah,
Uh,
5 because I started first grade here. I
yeah.
still have family in East St. Louis. My dad from Chicago, so I was still going back and forth. Like
Yeah.
every summer, I was already always out there. But
Yeah.
I grew up out here. But after boot camp, you go to C school. And C school, I ask questions. I'm like, yo, how can we get our own duty station? How do we pick? They're like, oh, you become first in class, you get the first pick. I
Yeah.
said, word. Shit, I just hit the books. Hey, hit the book. I want San Diego. I came right back. They was like, people who see me like, I don't ever see you wear a uniform. You back here in San Diego. I just knew how to operate.
Yeah.
Like with me, my thing was do your job, and know people. Like ask questions. Like I'm not no faulty person, so I'm really just trying to like learn and talk. Like I put people on. I give information. You don't have to buy information from me. I'm gonna put you on game. So I felt the same way. I'm coming asking questions, like yada yada. I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going within the space of the
Yes.
military.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so now I'm seeing how this came to be. Now, the thing that you cannot avoid if you go check Berlin is this man of God thing. So I'm curious about how that started to get woven into your life and what that's about.
Well, I always had a concept of God. Mom always said, God working mysterious ways. She was a woman of God, but she wasn't as versed. She was more ignorant to the fact of what God wants, but she knew God. Like she wasn't going too far left, too far right. She couldn't really point out verses in the Bible, but she know how to treat a person. She know how, people in my life may be a certain way, and she always be like, oh, they probably just raised wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
be careful. She always put me on game same way. Um, that was always had a concept of God. Like I always, I didn't really start really searching for God until a
Yeah.
few situations happened, and it kind of like, oh, my son's about to be born, and it shocked me. Like I'm like, yo, I'm about to raise another human being, and I was like, yo, one day I forgot what it was, but I just like, I remember calling out the guy like, yo, I don't even know who you are. Like I know you exist. If I go into the what is it, if I go into the forest and I see a painting, I'm not gonna be like, oh, yeah. Over time, the painting came. Like, no, I'm gonna be like, all right, there was a painter. Like, it's common sense. We're the most complex machine walking around, an organic machine, bro. Like, so you can't. So I knew that, But after that, I started my little walk and really trying to like, you know, see from a spiritual aspect of life.
Yeah. So when you say, you know, and I'm man, before I hopped on here, I took a quick look, boop, 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 and I saw the line of discipline determines your
destination.
destination. You know what I mean? And I could feel that all of this language that you're using about being a leader of people and a coach and just wanting to train fighters and all of this. You know, generally for people that I have experienced, when you get in like that, there's someone else up in front of you. So would you say largely it's your Uncle James, or I know we were just talking about this faith piece. Can you is it good enough for you to have kind of a Christ-like model, or are there men or people today alive that you are looking at and going, I'm trying to like thank you, that are inspiring and are beacons for what you are doing right now?
Um, I'm not really sure, man. Honestly, a
Mm.
lot of things change. Like everything is very fluid when it comes to
Yeah,
life.
yeah,
I got a general GPS and direction. This is
yeah,
my vocation. My vocation can change. Like I ain't tripping. Like I'm gonna be good with it wherever I go.
yeah.
It's just so happened that God lined it up, and it's like, hey, am I going against the grain if I leave here? Yeah, but there's a possibility that I might be a store clerk. I worked at a store before. I used to chop it up with people
Yeah.
and I really one day like, yo, how you doing? And somebody really was like, broke down. So it don't really
Oh,
matter. Like
yeah,
that part is very fluid.
yeah,
Um, all I know is I got a destination to go, and that may be within the context of boxing or without the context of boxing. I know I just gotta follow God. Like at the end of the day,
yes,
that's what it is.
yeah,
Everything else is temporary.
yes,
It's good to have. You know what I'm saying? It's good to have, and but I
yeah,
don't really base most of my decisions like, yo, I gotta be confined within the space and make my decisions. I'm there's good consequences for making the right decision, and there's bad consequences. It is, but I'm gonna make the right decision. So
yeah,
it's not really something like that's in front of me. But when it comes to like contextually speaking, like certain aspects, like,
mhm,
oh, I want to get this fighter signed, then I can do my study, I can do my research
yeah, yeah,
about that specific situation. Or
yeah,
I don't really, I'm the type of person that I don't like reaching outside my circle.
yeah, yeah,
If I don't, I'll do it. Don't get me
yeah,
wrong. But if I
yeah,
got somebody who's natural, I'm finna like
yeah,
talk to them and
yeah,
maybe get they ear.
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
may not be in a position where
yeah,
that person is, but
yeah,
they speak the same lingo, it's the
yeah, yeah,
same game. They just need to
yeah,
be equipped with opportunities.
yeah,
So I get game from them. I like building in house. So
yes, yes,
I get if
yeah.
I don't know if I really answered the question, but
No,
that's
no,
just
I'm hearing you. Yes, I'm
um,
hearing you. Yeah, yeah, I'm hearing you.
yeah.
I'm hearing you.
So
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing
I couldn't precisely
you.
say there's someone and there
Yeah.
isn't. There might be today. There might be somebody else tomorrow.
Yeah.
Ever evolving. I'm learning.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Uh,
So then what does your actual spiritual practice look like? So are you where do you get the most juice like for that perspective? Are you kind of a prayer person? Are you like a Bible person? Are you a worship person, music person? You have a regular rhythm? Like what's your lived practice?
I mean, it may be cliche. People not really gonna understand it, but I follow scripture, bro. Like
Yeah,
I'm 100%. Like no real.
yeah,
Like it's kind of hard to even speak specifics on this because it's general. Like I could be like, yeah, I'm a Christian, but what is a Christian today? Like it's not really.
mhm,
I just keep it 100. Nobody's really following
yeah,
God, or they're
yeah,
confused, or ain't
yeah,
nobody really dove deep.
mhm,
I mean, I get it. Like everybody, but when you really start like turning the pages and putting two and two together and be like, how come this don't line up?
yeah,
And you
yeah,
start asking questions and it start turning around.
yeah,
Like that's what you got to do. And the
mhm,
Bible said, if you seek me like silver and gold, you'll find me. And if
mhm,
anybody can be honest, they ain't really see God that way. If
yeah,
I lose a band or a rack or $2,000, I'm looking for that $2,000 until I find it.
yes, yes,
No one can say they really looking for God like that. And
mhm,
I thank God that had a little
yeah,
situation where I
yeah,
found something. I'm like, yo, this ain't lining up, and it threw me off. Like it threw me off. I'm the
yeah,
only reason I'm at a certain church is because I'm searching for God, and I figured something out, and I started doing research and studying. I'm like, yo, this is a
yeah,
lot deeper than I thought. So
yeah,
I had no choice. I had to drop out of church. I had to pray about it. I had to, you know, and fast forward situation, hey, look, you gonna find, you know what I'm saying? That you
yeah,
can test them on that,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it's the same thing in life, bro. Like we really look in the mirror and we really like ask questions. Somebody can tell us something and
mhm,
it hurt us, but it's the truth.
yeah,
We either gonna go into that and be like, all right, you know, you right. Let me try to fix this, or
Yeah.
you gonna run away from it.
Yeah.
99% of the time, bro, we run away from it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Oh
It's
yeah, man.
uncomfortable, you
Yes.
know.
Yes. Are you willing to talk a little bit about that situation or not really?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's cool. Like, you know, I remember one time I used to go to church faithfully like 3, 4 times. I preached at the church, like we was doing this discipleship program. And I remember clear as day, somebody had said something about like Sabbath day or something. So like whatever. And one time I was sitting in church and the preacher like duh, and I remember clearly like it's the first time audibly something messed with me. It was like, do you believe that? Because he said it, because I said it. And it's like I tried to shrug it off. But after day, it was like I was like all I heard was wah 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 wah. It all was about this one situation, and it was just about the Sabbath day. About because in the Bible it says Sabbath day is a holy day. You know, long story short, did some research outside of church.
Yeah.
I did research and I found out that God changed.
Yeah.
So if God didn't change it, bro, then sums up. You
Yeah.
know, and since then it just didn't sit right. So I bowed out.
Yeah.
And funny that the same thing I bowed out, the same thing somebody ended up running to me, asking me a question. That's one of the first things they said. Hey, do you go to church? I'm like, and I was lying too. I'm like, yeah, I go to church because I still studied. I still like thought natural. I said, yeah. They're like, yeah, I understand, but you know, like most churches, they they don't worship on the Sabbath day, and they said some other stuff, and that all the other stuff went on my head, and I'm like, yo, what?
Yeah.
What you know about Sabbath day? They was like, and the first thing that got me was like, yo, you want to study?
Yeah.
They didn't ask me to come to church. They said, do you want to study? So I'm like, bet. So then when I was studying, it was like all the dots I had.
Ooh,
So 2 + 2 = 4. Because sometimes growing up in faith, we like, okay, I believe scripture, but like I don't understand that, but I know somehow it's true. Now this is the first time I was like, yo, 2 + 2 = 4. Yo, that make I get that. I always wanted that.
Yeah.
Questions was being answered. Like really, it sounded funny, but it was like I was studying with God, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So stuff that I had forgot I even had questions about started being answered. So, and that's where my walk in faith came in. So I was just,
I see. Man, so then how do you treat that then today? So particularly around the Sabbath day, I know I'm harping on this because so I have a strong bias towards conversations that intersect that race, faith, and masculinity in particular. Just it's a bias thing. It's my thing. You know what I mean? Like that's just I have a lot of feelings and
those are triggers,
like
man. Those are triggers.
You know what I mean? So
100%.
this is like you're just all up in my wheelhouse right now. So I'm curious about like how you treat Sabbath now. Like, how do you approach that conceptually, and what do you literally take a day to rest and like boop, or how do you come at that now based on
because God knows everybody's faith is different. First of all, my vocation sometimes it forces me to be gone on Sabbath day. I have worship. I still got my worship times. There's 3 prayer times during the day. Those are the worship times. If I can get some worship time, I do block it off. Sometimes from right now it's 10 to 11. I do my prayer. I do my online sermon, and I get my worship in. It's because it's not on me to cleanse myself. God has an appointed time. So if He has an appointed time, you say jump 3 times, and I cleanse you. I'm jumping 3 times until I see Him in heaven at the end of the day. Because the Bible gonna be the thing that testify against me. So I'm like, well, I read it here. Not because a man told me. I read it here. So, but at the same time, we're in a structure in life where we can't stop everything. I'm gonna do my best to keep that Sabbath off. I'm not finna be just doing whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? If I'm doing something, I know I'm doing something because I still have to. I'm in a position where I do have to. I'm the man. Right. I gotta provide for my family. I gotta teach them the way. So if I have to be there, as a situation I have to, and we all know our own individual situations. You can't tell me if I have to be there. If I feel in my heart, I have to be there if I'm not. Because if it's against the conscience, then what is it? It's sin. So my conscience is what's going to dictate that. Me knowing the logistics of what's right, what's wrong, I can make that choice for myself because my conscience is going to tell me, yo, you could have. So if I'm guilty in my conscience, how can I stand before God? So that's where mine is.
Whew. Man, I'll pick it up, but I'm looking at you through the screen like, man, this man is for real. I appreciate it.
like in boxing, bro, you gotta
Yeah.
put that line in the sand,
Yeah.
and you gotta know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's good or
Yeah.
bad. It is what it is. You know, at the end of the day, that's about life. We
Yes.
grow, we retain, we
Yeah.
receive, we
Yeah.
give. Like
Yeah.
it's forever evolving.
Yeah.
But that center gotta be right.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So how do you embed this then in because I'm sure people come from all walks of life through your doors, right? And so conceptually, if you're working with this idea that center, that so much of this applies in the ring, then what are your techniques for engendering that, for creating that in like a young or a new boxer or people that don't know, which way is which, that GPS that you're talking about. How do you
And
help people do that?
that triple D, man, that discipline
Yeah,
determines where you're gonna be at. Like at the
yeah,
end of the day, where do you want to be? I want to be here. What does it take? It take that. You
yeah,
got some examples? Those three people. What those three people do? They did this. Do
yeah.
it.
Ooh,
At the end of the day, that's what it is. Like, and every bomber squad is not for everybody.
yeah,
I'm not for everybody,
yeah,
but for the people that I am for,
mhm,
that's who I'm for. I'm gonna do my best. And if I get to a position where I can't get you to the next level, and I know this, I'm
mhm,
gonna help you get to the next level by plugging you with somebody that's gonna help you.
yeah,
Cause I'm not wasting your time.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I might just be in a cycle of your life, boom, boom.
yeah,
But I know at the end of the day, when you speak about me, you can be like, yo, he really tried to help me. He really tried to put me on. There's miscommunication. And sometimes I'm a little rough because I'm from the military. So I don't really like emotional men around me. Like, you a man. But I understand everybody got emotion. I'm not saying don't be emotionalist, but don't make decisions off of emotion.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
so sometimes I'm really short with that fuse.
yeah,
And
yeah,
sometimes I gotta double back. Cause my cousin be like, hey, you tripping again.
yeah, yeah,
Like not that I'm tripping, but you being super
yeah,
insensitive.
yeah,
They
yeah,
don't know how you are yet.
yeah, yeah,
Like show them that you care. And at the
yeah,
end of the day, people will
mhm.
do something for you if they know that you care.
Oh, that's it.
I have to double back on that and be like, okay, guys, listen, it's about discipline.
Yeah,
Where you want to go,
yeah, yeah,
let's
yeah,
see if that align.
yeah,
We got it. All right, break. So
yeah,
that's what it is.
yeah,
That's how I reflect that is
yeah.
discipline. You just gotta know where you want to go.
Yes, yes. So then, where do you want to go? So that's what comes up in my mind as I'm looking at you. I'm like, okay, because like I said, I came up in gyms. You can run gyms, kind of personal development, training spot come through. We got bags, we got ropes. You know what I mean? We got clocks, like which we got the gear you can throw, or you know, Buddha was like, man, there's like amateur fighters coming out of there with the throwing rocks, like. What's your hope for that environment? Are you trying to put people in certain positions, or what's your thought about what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I want to make. I mean, to the core, of course, we want to make great fighters. You know, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but I want to put everybody on game. Like, I want to make everybody. I know it's cliche; they say their own boss, but I want them to be great citizens of where we at in our vocation. This is our kingdom, you know. So I want young
Yeah.
princesses
Yeah.
that grow up to be kings and queens
Yeah.
that are able to, okay, for instance, let me tell you something. Growing up, it was always like, yo, I want my own car, my own this, my own that, rightfully so. Nobody gave me the concept of I want my own family. I
Mm-hmm.
want my own, because that's where you get your kingdom from. Like you grow your family.
Yeah.
So I guess to basically change that perception to really show that y'all looking in the wrong way. Like all that stuff gonna come. You
Mm-hmm.
just gotta find who you are, where you're supposed to be, and who you're supposed to serve, and everything else will be
Mm-hmm.
within that context of
Mm-hmm.
yours.
Mm-hmm.
Yours. I
Mm-hmm.
really I won't say the selfish part of me, but like at like the very very beginning core part of me, what I wanted was a squad. I just want to be able to get on the phone if I need something done. I know who I can call.
Yeah.
That's where it started, and that doesn't change. It's a little bit better, a little bit more refined now,
Yeah.
but that's what I want. I just want a squad. I want to be able to go where we want to go, move where we want to move, change this. Somebody needs something, or I know who to call. Whoop whoop, make it happen. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Here physically, as far as me as a person, as Berlin,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, make it a heaven, make it back home, get out of this
Yeah,
place.
yeah, man. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know,
I'm here. Yeah, you know, when you say squad, the word that came up for me was community, and it's funny. You know, my wife and I have been involved in forming communities and in leading communities, and kind of we are churchy type folk too, and you know, we're often evaluating that, like, what does community look like? You know, in the same way that you came to that crossroads and it looked like a certain thing, and then suddenly it didn't, and you pivoted, you know, and had a whole new take on faith and community, and for you to now find. And what I'm hearing you say is, you know, in a lot of ways, that environment that you're in right there is like your church in some way. You know, it's community, it's squad, it's the people you get up with and can call. You know, and so, there's I used to say, you know, if you've got a belly button, you can't say you did anything on your own in this world. You know what I mean? Like, the people need people straight up. You know what I mean? There's evidence on your body, and so, you know, I think a lot of folks envy that sort of thing when you can create your own clique. We do it even in our flipping politics. You know what I mean? Everybody, whether you Bloods and Crippen or you Democrats and Republican, you know what I mean? That tendency to be tribal, let's say, to like, these are mine, these are my people right here, and this is how we think and how we get down, is paradoxically beautiful, and man, you know, the seed of so much division sometimes too. You know what I mean? And so, I don't know where I'm going with that conversation other than to say, like, how good it feels to be down, like, with the crew, to have squad, and then the challenge of, like, you know, getting outside of your squad, of your tribe, you know what I mean? And meeting people that are walking and talking in
like,
different ways, you know.
yeah, different. Yeah.
You know. So where do you live near where the gym is at?
Yeah, not too far. Yep. I'm
Where I don't actually where is the gym? Where you at?
Alcohol.
Okay.
East County,
Okay.
Alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
in the box, baby, in the box.
Was that what that's that's called?
Yeah, the box.
The box.
Alcohol
Why
City.
do you say
Yeah.
that? Is that what it is? Is that the word in Spanish or
Yeah,
something? What's that?
alcohol box. Yeah.
Box. Oh man, see, this is new. I've never heard that before. The box. The box. Man, I know there's like I have a friend that lives out there who goes to like an Armenian, like a Chaldean grocery store and gets like, he's always like, man, this is like legit Jesus food right here. You got to go through and get the real deal.
So clean.
So so I'm for sure you got some Chaldean folks up in your space and whatnot. But I'm curious about what your relationship has been with like the black community in San Diego, because I'll tell you, you know, man, I'm up here. I'm in Poway. I'm in North County. You know, like, you know, I'm a transplant, right? I've been here since 2002, and since I've been here, it's always been like, where are all the black people at? You know, you got to go. What's the deal? And what's happening? And a lot of people that come here say that, and then on top of that, they'll say like it's hard to like click up with black folks anywhere. You know, you got the San Diego Black Chamber, the ACLU. Uh, uh, you know, there's some folks in like Boule type stuff here, and you know, various church communities and stuff. But it's hard to find kind of like the
Yeah.
heartbeat of the black community in San Diego,
Yeah.
let's say.
Yeah.
But how has that been for you? Do you have, you know, anything specific that you get down with in terms of black community in San Diego?
Well, the first question or the first thing you mentioned was the Chaldean community. I grew up around Chaldeans.
Yeah.
My boy, my co-owner is Chaldean. His son is Chaldean. It's funny that you
Word.
mentioned that.
Word.
And I know a lot of Chaldean. I just grew
Word.
like it was just normal, you know. I just
Yeah.
grew up. Everybody know everybody
Yeah,
cousins.
man. It's like I think there's more
Yeah, it's
Chaldeans.
crazy.
Yeah, man. Yes.
And you know, most of black communities in southeast, but I grew up here in El Cajon, East County. But see, the thing is, it's different for me. Like, I'm from East St. Louis, it's all black. You know, when I came out here, like me and my cousins, like honestly, we're like brothers. Like it's not their cousin. Like I seen other family and cousins. It's like, yo, y'all cousins, y'all need to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Like me and my cousin, we all grew up together, slept in the same room, sleep on the same floor. That's just how it was.
Yeah.
So it was never. There was never no. I don't even know. I don't want to say involvement outside of my
Sure.
circle.
Yeah,
I always had blind on. Like it was never. it didn't matter if I was in a predominantly black community, I
Yeah.
still would be just cousins.
Yeah.
Like, so I just, it never, I was never
Yeah.
aware of it, you know,
Yeah.
so I never had that concept.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than like, you know, going back home, like I
Yeah.
do get like, yeah, I just, to me, it was just a culture difference,
Yeah.
just the city, the location.
Yeah.
So it never was that I was out of place or I need to search. I know we used to go to Euclid just to get the fish and things like that. Fish fry, you know,
Yeah.
Maya used to get if she
Yeah.
ain't finding herself.
Yeah.
You know, a beauty supply store. She used to go out there,
Yeah.
but it never was like, I don't know. I just never was a disconnect because we
Sure.
always still had
Sure.
black friends.
You had, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I don't know how. Like you said, it is kind of disconnected. But I think bigger than just the black culture, I think San Diego period is kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like growing up, I remember being in certain ventures
Mhm.
and being connected to certain people, like in music. Like nobody really messed with each other,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so like that's just how it was. Like we weren't like LA. We had to go to LA for everything. But
Yeah.
it just San Diego, everybody didn't really matter. Everybody was like hating, and then you know it's like a military town. So most people, like you said, transplant.
Yeah.
There was no like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there is that, but
Yeah.
it's only in a small collective area, you know,
Yeah.
and still it's the same way.
Yeah. You know, I asked. There's a dude running for mayor, Lemon Grove, Chris Williams.
Chris, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I talked to
yeah.
dude, right, and I had a similar question for him, and he, you know, he was pointing out a few luminaries, like, oh, you got to talk to the Brown family, or you got to talk to this family. You know, you'd be surprised at some folks that have some depth here over periods of time that have been moving and kind of are beacons. But it was news to me. You know what I mean? I was like, because I think you're right. I think San Diego is such a transient population of folks that oftentimes people just are in their little micro environments, you know, doing their thing. So tell me how long has the gym been open?
2000.
2016. You're 4 years old,
Yep.
and how are you all dealing with COVID? What's that look like?
That's cool. We shut down for about officially like shut down for like a week, and then I just kept training my fighters, kept everybody separate.
Yeah,
We were able to open up certain guidelines, so we just run those guidelines. We just get it in how we get it in, get in what we get in, you
yeah,
know. So
yes.
it's weird because like other states is like they doing their thing, like but
Yes.
we
Yeah,
over
I
here
know, I
like
know,
we
I
get
know,
the purples
I
soon,
know,
you know.
I know,
I don't know, man.
I know.
You know, I'm not speaking on. I'm ignorant of the fact and situation, but I'm not that ignorant. You know what I'm saying? So, you know,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand. So what's
opportunities.
next, like milestone wise for you all? What do you do you all look for certain events or meets or like how does it go? What's your season like when you're
Yeah.
training?
So there's my fall season always the busiest. Like right now it's busy because we get for December. They got qualifiers in December. Where's nationals right now? So
Okay.
everybody meets in Louisiana. They fight. Basically, like it's like to make it easy for you, you get points during the year, and then you get the most points. You go to this tournament, you win. You go to the facility in Colorado. They spar you, get you ready. Every 4 years, you go for the team, and then you on the Olympic team. You guys fly all over the world and you fight. Basically, that's what we do. So we getting ready for that. And at
Okay.
the same time, I got a few fighters who are transitioning to pro. We're
Oh,
doing that.
woo.
So it's
Okay.
little pockets, you know, because it's an
Okay.
individual sport, but it's
Yeah.
team collective. So
Yeah.
it just depends on what's coming up, you know.
Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, that's a lot right there, man. You just walked into that was a whole universe of conversation right there. So you're managing people to try to get into the kind of national team, but then also if you go pro, what does that look like? Then do you end up advising because those kind of contracts and all that, like you were just kind of just saying, what does that look like? Are you
So there's different ways to do it, but the simple is basically you have to get fights. You have to build your record. You got to come up to 11-0, 12-0. For somebody to really give you a chance, look at you. You look at your okay, somebody looking for an opponent.
yeah.
You can become somebody's opponent and you end up beating them. Now you got a name. Now
Okay.
you're on a network. Now they,
Okay.
you know, or you could just become an Olympic standout, and there's
Okay.
people already ready to sign you. So
Yeah.
they sign you. They got money. They feed you
Got it.
people. You get
Got
bigger. You get
it.
faster. You get stronger. and
Got it.
then they throw you in the big fish. You know what I'm saying? So
Got it. Got it.
it's all about building up timing,
Got it.
and shop value. You know, putting butts in the seats, things like that.
Yes, yeah, that was where I, now you're going to kind of where I was thinking because I sometimes get sucked into to the MMA reels. You know what I mean? I fall off into the space of some of these fights, and I saw you have some Thai boxing on your environment too. And I'm curious about what you feel in general about the world of fighting, kind of out there. How as a rule driven sport, how much of it is, I don't want to use the word legitimate, but how much of it is shaped? You know what I mean? Sometimes it feels a little shaped, like manipulated versus like, okay, no, this is the.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think the core of fighting was exist. Back in the gladiator days, they had coliseums that will all exist. No
Yeah,
matter what, people can be on their last dollar. They
yeah,
want to get their mind off of the world. They gonna watch some fights.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, but at the end of the day, there's organizations that are in it for the money. They're not in it for the
yeah,
people or the boxers. Some of the belts, the WBC, they
yeah,
making extra belts to collecting on money.
yeah,
That
yeah,
makes the division because you know who the real champion is. There's three
yes,
people in a weight class with three different belts. You
yes,
can't be unified if you don't have a certain belt.
yeah,
So yes, there's a lot of shaping. There's a lot of, oh, look at the hand. Why I take this? But at
yeah,
the end of the day, if you're not emotional about it and you really look at who holds what, who
mm,
fights who,
mm,
then you can see through all of it. But
okay,
as you know,
yeah,
majority of people don't go that far. Same way about people that's in church.
yeah,
Same thing. They're just there.
yeah,
Same thing with boxing fans. They're just there.
yeah,
They're there. I mean, rightfully so. They want to support their people, but when it comes to like making an objective stance and
yeah,
speaking about facts and debating about something, they hold no water.
you got
And
it,
yes,
okay,
it is shaped to a certain extent, but it is a rough game.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Rough,
yes.
rough. In and outside the ring. It's rough. It's not for everybody for sure.
So what keeps you in there like that then? What keep that with that said, with the
Yeah.
woo, so why, yeah, how is that how is that your call to be in that then?
Because if I'm not in that corner, who else is?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
I at the point I don't have I went through that phase like, yo, it's a brutal sport. Like, what? I didn't like, honestly, if I'm keeping it 100, I didn't
Yes.
sign up. I didn't
Yeah.
sign up.
Yeah.
It just naturally happened, and I'm not finna dip out. Somebody gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
might as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Be in here
do
helping.
my best to protect.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes. Yes.
that's why I'm here until
Yeah.
I feel like God, like, all right, it's your time.
That's
Hang the gloves up or hang the mitts up.
yeah,
He
man.
told me to hang the gloves up already. Hang the mitts up. I hang them up. I got no problem with hang because he's gonna
Yeah.
provide. It is. He been
Yeah.
providing since day one. So,
Yeah.
that's why I'm here, man. Because I'm supposed to be here.
Ooh wee.
Yeah.
Ooh wee.
You know?
Whew. Man, sign me up, man.
Oh, hey, we get your hands right. Everybody should know how to throw hands. I'm telling you. Hey, look, I'll tell you. This is the best thing. If you go to the gym and you lift weight, the whole time you lifting weight, you lifting weight.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
Boxing, you don't. You
Yeah.
working on a skill. You
Yeah.
doing this.
Yeah.
It's like the natural thing. Like hit, okay, hit, like
Yeah.
instantly. Like
Yeah.
you pick up. Like it's natural, bro. It's just we're combative people. We
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Like we do it. We just do it in the form of a sport.
Yeah.
It's fun, bro. It's a safe
Yeah.
little environment. Get them hands right. Feel good. Hey, you'll be surprised on how many people will be willing to fight in the streets and don't know how to fight. It
Oh,
amazes
yes. Oh no, I
me.
know, I know. That's when you talk about the emotions. Emotions take over. People do silly things, man. People do silly things,
Crazy.
you know.
Yeah.
So you've raised your hands a couple times, and I see that ring on your finger. So I'm
Oh,
curious.
yeah.
Curious.
Yeah.
Huh?
I'm married. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So tell me
Married.
about like how does that all work into this? How does that fit in all this?
Oh well, there's always gonna be an issue when it comes to where you at, how much time you spending, but
Mhm.
like there's gonna be an issue. But at the end of the day, it's like there is no issue. Like this is my life.
Yeah,
You are part of my life. I'm making it our life.
yeah,
you have to accept those terms. Because at the end of the day, hey, just be honest with you. At the end of the day, if I'm not fulfilling my purpose, I ain't fulfilling nothing else. So of course it's a learning thing. You gotta learn when to not let stuff encroach on your time when you with your family, you know, like that. But at the end of the day, at the core, when that other person know that you truly care, those little mistakes is just mistakes. Like it's a learning process, you know, and that's what it is. It's a team. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to remind that partner you're not fighting against them, but it's a team. You know what I'm saying? We rocking till the wheels fall off.
Yes, that's beautiful. So how many young humans are in that squad? How many kids?
Oh, we got 3. We got 3 of them things, and they all active, man. We got 3. They monsters. I got a 4, 5, and a 9. Like, yo, I mean, like, to be honest with you, I'd be like thinking like, dang, bro, I can't even explain it. You got kids?
Oh man, I don't know if she came up here while we were on the phone or not. I have a 13-year-old and a 7-year-old. So I got a daughter who's 13 and a son who's 7. And that gap, I always say that gap, I think was us just going like, woo, I don't know, can we do this again? You know?
See, I looked out. Mine is closed, so I can see it come around the horizon. I'm like, oh, I remember this. That you got some time, so it's like you working with something brand new.
Oh, man.
Brand new.
Oh man, I went back to diapers. I went back to diapers, bro.
Oh,
back to diapers.
Hey, right when you said I'm done with them, you back at them. Oh. Yeah, man. You know how I ain't even got to elaborate. It's just it's a blessing to see these little humans develop who they are, and like every like month or so, it's like, dang, okay, that's what we're doing. Okay. And it's and like they're loud, like they're my kids are. My son, the oldest, he's very calm. Like I went to school. I remember going up to I had to do a presentation. I had him back there. I had to bring him up there. The teacher's like, yo, he been back there the whole time. When I used to fight, he used to sit there and watch. Quietest kid ever. I used to have to wake him up to feed him. But my daughters, night and day, bro. So you already know it's like I'm just in their world. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I put the law down.
Yeah, but there's only so much you can do. There's only so much you gotta bob and weave a little bit.
You gotta remind them who you are. Like, oh, all right, he for real. But man, I ain't gonna lie, like they good kids, man. Like people always be like, dang, your kids are so good. Like, and I be like, I just don't like my mom did me. You know, act right, be right. You know, and it's good. So yeah, man, blessing. Bro.
I see it. Your whole face, your whole thing, like just that, you know, that topic, the amount of juice and energy coming out of you, man, is beautiful. It's beautiful. I can tell where your head and your heart is at when you speak on your family. That's a beautiful thing. You know, it gets me emotional. You said you don't like emotional dudes, brother. I get a little emotional.
See, that's different. You're not making a decision off your emotions, right?
No.
That's what I'm saying. It's different. It's all good. I don't mind it. I cheer up every now and then, you know. I can be like, yo, what's going on? I've never seen you cry. I'm like, whatever. She's like, you're so cold. I'm like, nah. I give her a hard time. I be giving her the hardest time, bro. That's my boots.
That's funny, man. You know, hey, I'm not gonna keep you all afternoon. My little buzzer just went off to tell me like, boop boop boop, you got time, and I have an appointment for me at 3:00, or at 2:00. Now, what time is it? Is it 2?
1:51. It's great. I don't even seem like 50 minutes went by. That's what's up.
But you know, this has been a pleasure, man. I'm so glad to know that you're out there. You know. And to get a little, you know, snippet of the amount of sound bites that you drop. If I'm not fulfilling my purpose, I'm not fulfilling anything else. You know what I mean? Like you are clearly operating filled with purpose. And you know, I'm like I said, I'm just glad to know you're out there and that you took the time to have a conversation, man.
Somebody got to do it, man. Let's go.
You the one.
Yo, let's go. You know.
So.